Hey there! Minecraft is the most popular game in history. It has existed for 16 years and has evolved from this to this. In this video, you will learn the history of Minecraft. I suppose it all started in May 2009 when Notch released the first version of the game called Cave Game. At that time, only creative mode was available and the only blocks you could use were cobblestone and dirt. The world was completely flat, small, and had no barriers. A little later, Marcus added terrain, new building blocks, and saplings that didn't grow into trees.
A few moments later.
A month later, Notch realized that Cave Game was too complicated a name for such a game. So the game was renamed Minecraft Classic. Bedrock was added, a visible barrier at the world's edge to finally stop players from falling into the void. Water and lava were introduced, though their physics were quite strange. Trees, coal, iron, gold, sand, gravel, sponges, 16 colors of wool and flowers became available. The inventory opened with the B key and looked very weird. The first track of the game was created and the survival mode appeared, where hostile mobs like zombies, skeletons, spiders, and, of course, creepers spawned. At that time, the only ways to fight them were with bows, arrows, and TNT. Health could only be restored with pigs which dropped edible mushrooms. Don't ask why. Later, sheep and more building blocks were added. In-dev stage. At this stage, our beloved Notch added swords, tools, armor, paintings, and a quiver for arrows. Wait, just kidding, there's more. 4 world generation types were introduced. Floating islands, superflat, and vanilla. Flint and steel and fire spread physics were added. Randomly generated dungeons made of mossy cobblestone appeared, containing TNT and wool. Items stacked up to 99 instead of 64. Live with that now, the crafting table was introduced, enabling the crafting of tools and items. Difficulty levels and giant zombies were added. Their remains can still be found in later versions of Minecraft, but more on that later in the video, so stick around, and all that. InfDev stage. The world became infinite. Stacks were no longer 99, but also not 64. They were 999. Ore spawning was restricted by height, and diamonds now appeared only between Y levels 9 and 13. Big trees, improved terrain, and clouds were added. Finally, in a game about caves, large caves were introduced. Oh yeah! Water was no longer an infinite self-reproducing source and gained proper physics, just like lava. Falling into the void now caused damage. If you fell out of the world, you died. The first dungeon was revamped to contain zombie or skeleton spawners, and chest loot was improved, now including saddles for pig riding. Alpha version Notch added the first simple redstone mechanisms: pressure plates, levers, and buttons. The eerie cave sounds were introduced, triggered when you passed through a random air block. The first new biome appeared, a snowy version of the starting biome. Genius. Jukeboxes with music discs, cacti, boats, as fragile as my heart, cows, chickens, and sugarcane for books and paper were added. Multiplayer survival mode became possible, and the legend of Herobrine was born. For Halloween, the Nether was added, along with its well-known blocks and zombie pigmen. At that time, you didn't need to mine obsidian for years or learn how to speedrun a portal with a water bucket. It simply spawned when you pressed F4. But pressing Alt plus F4, well, 2 new biomes were introduced, the desert and the snowy tundra. Then, bam! The beta version was released. Beta version Jeb joined the development team and added the taiga, birch forests, cake, lapis lazuli, note blocks, pistons, trapdoors, and squids. Meanwhile, the game hit 1 million sales. Wolves were introduced and they could be tamed. Lightning mechanics were implemented. When struck, creepers turned into charged creepers with increased explosion radius and damage, and pigs transformed into zombie pigmen. In 2011, Minecraft was released on mobile as Minecraft Pocket Edition. Along with this, strongholds, abandoned mine shafts, new food, endermen, cauldrons, new biomes, swamps, ravines, and villages were added. Official release 2011. In November 2011, Minecraft 1.0 was officially released. After 2 years of development, players finally had an end goal: defeating the Ender Dragon. Since the dragon could be killed, this meant nether fortresses were added, where players could find blazes. This in turn allowed potion brewing. Enchanting and animal breeding were introduced. Iron golems now spawned in villages, and they would beat you up if you accidentally or intentionally hit a villager. Desert villages started spawning alongside regular ones. Potatoes and carrots were added. 2 new dungeons appeared. The Desert Temple, which taught players how to defuse pressure plate traps with pinpoint accuracy, and the Jungle Temple, which was just as useless then as it is now. Oh, and now you could craft a beacon by killing the Wither. Major updates added quartz, hoppers, comparators, which I still don't know how to use, and droppers. Version 1.6 introduced horses and horse armor. The baby zombie was introduced, the most annoying mob in gaming history, combining 2 of humanity's greatest fears. An update was released that changed the world. Seriously, that's its actual name, not a joke. They added 2 new tree types, acacia and dark oak. New biomes appeared, including savannas, dark forests, flower forests, mesas, and ice spikes. In December 2013, baby zombies riding chickens were introduced. A bunch of new flowers were added, and nether portals could now be built in any size larger than the minimum 2x3. Then, tragedy struck. Microsoft bought Mojang for $2.5 billion, which, adjusted for inflation, is now $3.4 billion. That same year, Minecraft's creator Notch left Mojang. As for the game itself, diorite, granite, and andesite started generating in the world. Ocean monuments were added, and in version 1.8, zombies gained the ability to break wooden doors. 2016, to present the combat update, changed the fighting system. Swords became less effective, and players started relying on axes and shields. Elytra were added. Polar bears were introduced because Jeb's wife loves them. Random fossil structures began generating underground. The observer block became essential for redstone contraptions. Shulker boxes finally provided a backpack alternative. Woodland mansions and Illager raids were introduced, along with the Totem of Undying. Concrete became a mainstay building block. The aquatic update dolphins, turtles, various fish, and coral reefs were added. Shipwrecks and underwater ruins appeared, sometimes containing valuable loot. A new mechanic was introduced. If you didn't sleep for 3 days, phantoms would spawn and attack you. Minecraft 1.14 plus raiders now spawn in outposts and can attack nearby villages. Foxes, pandas, and honey blocks were added. The Nether update. New biomes, bastions, piglins, and brutal piglins, which will wreck you, appeared. Hoglins became a new food source. The Pigstep music disc was added. Caves and Cliffs update 2021. This was released in 2 parts. Unfortunately, the first part felt like a disappointment, while the second part truly revamped caves and mountains. Glow squids were added and axolotls were introduced. So, what does Minecraft mean to you? Drop a comment below and don't forget to like the video.